as updates come in, and as you can see here, we got some planes going by. These are fighting the fire. They take the water from the lakes, and they're going to the site of the Jenkins Creek fire right now. Yeah, the Safe Bay was operating at this parking lot at the Vineyard Church over here on West Arrowhead Road, but now neighbors, some of whom have been opposed to this idea from the start, have filed an appeal with the city. Well, another day passes and the Jenkins Creek fire continues to rage on, but that large thunderstorm that we got today gave the city its first rainfall that we've seen in days and gave the firefighters a bit of a reprieve from fighting the 15,000-acre Jenkins Creek fire. Nurses actually worked without a contract and actually walked off the job before a deal was finally reached between the two sides. Hoyt Lakes residents are now in a set mode, meaning they need to pack their valuables and get prepared to evacuate at a moment's notice if need be. I'm going to step aside here so you can get a real good look at these windy conditions. You see these waves coming off on Colby Lake here in Hoyt Lakes as strong wind gusts are coming in from the east right into Hoyt Lakes. In the air, you can see some visible smoke, and on the ground here, you can smell it too. Representatives from the Eastern Area Incident Management Team, the U.S. Forest Service, the Minnesota DNR, and the St. Louis County Sheriff's Department will provide new information on the two fires and provide some updates on evacuations and road closures. For decades, Superior Public Museums has maintained, operated, and preserved 3 historic museums here in Superior. But that could be changing tonight as the City Council will be voting on whether to move operations of those museums to the city. We're in downtown Bayfield, and we're told that crews responded to the fire around 3 o'clock. And as you can see, you have some crews up there fighting the fire. We've been told that the fire is mainly on the attic. The working group says they're down to a list of 4 proposals, all of which include a return of this to Lester Park. Now, Essentia says these current contract negotiations are with a significant portion of the RNs at Essentia. The next scheduled date for contract negotiations is Wednesday, and the last bargaining session is set for June 12th. Essentia says they are open to additional negotiating dates. I'm here at Winged Freedom Raptor Hospital, where last year Dr. Kim Ammon took care of over 200 birds, including 75 bald eagles. Mayor Jim Payne gave his speech tonight from the Lake Superior Estuarium over on Barker's Island and spoke about ideas he's hoping to turn into a reality, including but not limited to the restoration of Hammond Avenue, replacing lead pipes, and even a $1 million skate park. Director of Operations at Grandma's Saloon and Grill here in Canal Park says his business gets an influx of tourists during the summer months. He says many of them come from Canada to see the lift bridge. Decide on if the city should take over operations of the Fairlawn Mansion, SS Meteor, and the Old Fire and Police Museums. That was until a lengthy, and let me emphasize the word lengthy, discussion among councilors. The decision was punted to their next meeting in a few weeks. Now, this new aquarium here at the new Bass Pro Shops is really a sight to see. And if you're one of the first 200 customers here tomorrow, you will get a free Yeti water bottle.
You see it a lot in national news, people getting shot for firing on officers and everything. However, I think they went the extra mile, and like I said before, my hat's off to them for that.
Troy Kimberlin lives across the street from the scene of where 13-year-old Carson Peterson allegedly fired at Douglas County deputies at least 4 times. According to court documents, Peterson's grandmother called law enforcement on her grandson, saying he was yelling and throwing things and had used gas to start a fire next to a tree. A deputy arrived and saw Peterson go inside the home and re-emerge with a rifle, telling the officer to shoot him. The deputy then took the boy's grandmother to Kimberlin's home and asked if she could stay there for the time being.
Probably could use all the support she could get, so I was happy to do that. I mean, that's what neighbors do.
Other deputies arrived on scene and contacted Peterson by phone, who allegedly said he was going to kill a cop and then himself, threatening to burn one of the squad cars with gasoline. The boy then allegedly fired shots in the direction of officers. One detective says he heard a bullet strike directly behind him in the woods. Peterson eventually dropped the gun and was apprehended without incident while wearing tactical gear. Well, it was a very chaotic scene on Highway 35 in the town of Superior. Douglas County Attorney Mark Fruhoff says Peterson's status as a juvenile will somewhat complicate litigation.
It's an adult case for all intents and purposes, but I think a court is going to look at those sentencing factors a lot differently for a juvenile than they would for an adult with a long record.
Fruhoff says the main difference between the two justice systems is that the juvenile is generally more focused on rehabilitation, while the adult focuses on public protection and punishment. It's important to note that a case like Peterson's that starts in adult court may not stay there. A judge can send it back to juvenile court if they feel it's appropriate.
Every case is unique, and the court is always going to look at how serious is the charge, what is the character of this specific, in this case, juvenile accused, and then what is the need to protect the public, and then the court crafts an appropriate sentence.
Helping to understand a chaotic scene that very nearly turned tragic. In Superior, Ryan Hayes, Northern News Now.
Reductions like this are difficult, but they're unfortunately necessary.
After a failed referendum in May, the Duluth School District plans to cut one band teacher at each of the district's 2 middle schools. The move is an unpopular one among students in the program.
Though without lessons back in middle school, I would be nowhere near the level I am today.
The cuts will cause the district to move from a co-teaching model to a pull-out model, which means students will be pulled from other classes for individual instruction. Band teaching veteran Kevin Hoshin says the model is bad for students.
With the pull-out model, you're taking students from other classes. They're missing other instructional time. You don't know which students will be able to make it that day.
Others express concerns that increased need for private instruction creates an inequitable situation for those who can't afford lessons. While many had words for the board on the impending cuts for the Sterling Strings from Duluth East, music was the preferred form of protest. Hoshin hopes that the district changes their mind and sticks with the co-teaching model.
I really hope that the administration and the school board members will go to the middle schools and talk to the teachers, observe that wonderful, wonderful co-teacher model.
Magus says these decisions are difficult and is trying to make the best decision for students.
We really hope that our community in the future will take this into consideration when considering future referenda.
In Duluth, Ryan Hayes, Northern News Now.